Make sure you assist the patient in turning their foot, by the way. Don't say, can you put your foot in a 45-degree oblique and expect them to do it for you. Probably not gonna happen. Assist them turning that ankle. By the way, great strategy here. Don't just grab their foot, because their foot probably hurts really bad. Just rotate their leg, guys. Rotate their leg. It's an easier way to do that. Although I'd probably put my hands down here. That looks a little inappropriate to me. Put your hands down here to turn the leg.
And gloves.
And wear gloves.
No rings either.
No rings.
When you're wearing gloves.
Oh, yeah, mine used to tear my gloves all the time. That's
You
true.
gotta have the rubber ones, right?
I used to have to wear dosimeter rings too. They were always messing me up.
Did you find yours?
Huh?
Did you find yours?
What?
Your ring. You
Oh,
said you
it's in my drawer. I'm gonna bring it to y'all. Yeah, it's in my top drawer. I did find it.
Wait, you lost it?
I lost them all the time. I mean, I always like end up in the dryer. You hear them going clunk, 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 clunk in the dryer.
But your wife.
Because I would, because you know, they always tore my gloves, so I always take them off and put them in my pocket between exams. I'd forget to put it back on, so it'd be in my pocket. I was washing my scrubs, and it was like going all crazy in the dryer.
How does it affect your radiation? Like, do they think you got?
You learn about that.
No, not the wedding ring. No, I didn't take that. I didn't take that one off.
Like 3 different like others.
All right, Citrate guys, still perpendicular. We're going to consider this very similar. In fact, it's exactly similar to the AP. We're between both malleoli for the AP 45-degree oblique rotation. That's going to show our distal end of our tib fib, our ankle joints. By the way, as we're going to see in a second, this is not going to open the entire ankle joints, only a specific parts. You remember which one does open the entire ankle joints? The Mortise, which is usually why it's the preferred medium at most facilities. Mortise will show the entire ankle joint. This will only show another portion of it. And I still don't think that's quite 45 degrees. That's more like a Mortise to me. Typically 45 is going to be like, not like this. That's a really old school cassette.
Are there any tips to help you find like a proper medial rotation?
You kind of learn to eyeball it, to be honest. All right, so what are we looking at on this AP oblique rotation? This is the 45-degree oblique. The main thing we're going to see open on this one, guys, is we're going to open what now? The lateral side of the ankle joint. So remember the AP showed the superior and medial sections open. This 45-degree rotation will specifically open up that lateral aspect or the tibiofibular articulation. That's proper 45 degrees, by the way. Proper 45 degrees will open up that side the most. It was a nice, good look on that lateral aspect of that ankle joint. So a great thing to make note of, guys, not only does this show the lateral aspect of the ankle joint, it also shows that distal tib-fib joint opened up. So we're kind of looking at two joints here. We're looking at the lateral side of the ankle joint. We're also opening up the distal tib-fib joint. The medial oblique ankle is the only one that's going to open up that distal tib-fib joint properly, by the way. 45-degree oblique ankle is the only one that will open up the distal tib-fib joint. It also opens up the lateral aspect of the ankle joint with Mortise joint. So that's why some facilities prefer to do that. It's a very often dislocated and fractured area, especially in pediatrics, which is probably why we only did these at Texas Children's, as opposed to the Mortise. Kids break that fibula quite a bit, as you can imagine. Also, really sick people break kids' legs there a lot too. Yeah, abusive people. Because they grab the kids by the ankle. I won't give you. Wait till Rad Pro 4. We'll talk more about that.
I'd be fighting every day. You do it.
Yeah, did I tell you about the kid that had the chains on him? That kind of reminds me of that story. I'll go ahead and tell y'all this story. There was a kid that had to do an ankle series on. So they found this kid. He was basically kept in a closet. The parents were obviously extraordinarily abusive. They kept him chained up in a closet with actual shackles, like medieval shackles, like you see in with the cuffs and everything. So this kid lived in a closet, shackled, malnutritioned, barely had any food to eat, super malnourished. But he had been in the chains so long, they brought him in for an ankle series. They had taken the shackles off, that the chains had dug into his ankle. His whole ankle was gangrened, and you just see like muscle and bone, like there was just like it dug completely down to the bone from the shackles. It was like rotten and gangrene and really nasty. But both his ankles were completely like exposed from the shackles.
They removed,
Do that to amputate?
like,
They did have to amputate his feet. Yes.
both.
Yes.
Oh,
It was really sad, really, really sad. And like he had the 1,000-yard stare. You ever see someone with that? Like he was just he just like sat there like with no emotion, like just sat there, like didn't cry, didn't react, just like staring straight. It was like really messed up, disturbing.
That's eerie.
Yeah, it was eerie. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you see. There's some really evil people out there, really sick people.
How old is he?
He was 5.
I didn't know you had to react emotionally.
He was 5 years old. Yeah, that was a
Did they go to
that was a
jail?
rough one, huh?
Did they go to jail?
Oh yes, they did.
It was both of them.
There was no defense on that one. You'll see a lot of that abuse stuff. They'll end up getting the kids back because what's really screwed up about the system out there when it comes to abuse is that more often than not, and they'll tell you this if you ever go through adoption training, more often than not, kids end up back in the homes with the abusive parents just because the laws are so finicky on that. It's really, really messed up how many times they end up right back in the same environment. It's really hard to get kids removed. Really, really hard. Believe it or not. That case, it was easy because, I mean, come on, they had to cut the kid's feet off. And yeah, that one was an easy removal, but you'd be surprised how many of them end right back up in the environment. That's probably the hardest part about working pediatrics is that a lot of times you have to do these x-rays with the parents in the room and you know they hurt that kid and you want so bad to go punch them in the face.
Yes.
Like,
You can't do
yeah,
that.
That's why I
you can't even react to it. You can't say anything. You can't react. You just got to do your job. That's the hardest part. For me, it was. Just because I love my kids so much, you know. It's especially as a parent, really makes your skin crawl. Anyway, back on subject here. We'll talk more about that in Rad Pro 4. The Mortise joint rotation. So this one, guys, is going to be a 15-degree rotation. You'll see a range of 15 to 20, but I recommend you always stick with the 15. That tends to be the most optimal rotation for that Mortise view. That's a very slight rotation, by the way. As you guys have seen in lab, you just very slightly turn that foot in 15 degrees. Now, what's that going to do? That's going to open up the entirety of that Mortise joint. That's why it's called the Mortise joint medial rotation. That's your key word there, guys. And I swear people miss this every year. Mortise joint medial rotation, 15-degree rotation to open up the entire Mortise or ankle joints. What's the 45-degree oblique do?
Open up the lateral.
Open up the lateral side and the distal tib fib joints. Correct. Make sure you know the difference between those two. Very easy to mix those up. But still, we are doing what with the foot, guys? Dorsiflexing that foot. We're not plantar flexing, are we? That is a thing, by the way, plantar flexing. That's the floppy foot. That's probably the word I should use is plantar flex. But it reminds me of a floppy foot. Like you just take the foot and flop it around. No floppy foot. It's floppy. Anyone sees that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Monday, mister.
It's
It's Monday. But we got you.
All right, I appreciate it. You gotta laugh a little bit, even at my worst jokes. All right, so where's that Century go? Still, oh, yeah, I guess.
Wait, that looks like the same thing as lavender.
It looks very similar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe you do the same thing.
Yes, I get it.
Just make sure your notes reflect the information correctly, though.
So you said rotate
15 to 20 degrees, but 15 is your optimal.
This one's rotating.
You'll know, like, when you see, take a picture, you're like, it's open, right, this one is.
I'm looking at the shadow from.
All right, perpendicular central ray, guys, halfway between both those malleoli once again, just like the other two views we have spoke on, the AP and the 45 degree oblique. Now, what are we going to be showing? The entire ankle mortise joint in profile. When we say we want that, when we say we have that entire joint open, it's another way of saying that same thing, guys. The entire ankle mortise in profile. That's what we're achieving with this rotation specifically. Or 3 sides of the mortise joint. Visualize why? Because the mortise is made up of 3 areas, as you'll remember, your anatomy. Now that looks more like a mortise view. It's a very slight rotation there. They did use the same pictures, didn't they? Or I did, rather. Or am I saying they? That was me. Those people that made my PowerPoint for me. No, I was going to blame somebody else. I'm sorry. I used the wrong pictures on that other one, but there you go. So even on capstone, guys, very common points that I would take off was floppy feet. Don't give me those floppy feet. Flex that foot. It's ideal for your ankle joint x-rays. I swear if you're one of those trash techs that sends that junk in with the floppy feet, doctors make a note of how bad you are, and they're usually going to send them right back to you. Don't do it. You get there, complaining, saying they can't do it. What's the magic word, guys? I need to do it, and I can assist you if you need me to assist you. Big deep breaths. Take big deep breaths, then you don't crack like that. No, not really. Big deep breaths are going to help them move it slowly, guys. Move it as much as you can flex it. Big deep breaths. Big
And if
deep
they
breaths.
can't move it, do we put it on the notes when we send it off?
If it's absolutely impossible and you attempt it, yes, you document that. But you did at least attempt to take at least 2 films. When it comes to a less than optimal film, you always want to at least attempt 2, but never more than that. Just to show that you tried.
If they have cash on them, basically like hard.
Oh, Cass is your best friend. It's already
Yeah, right.
someplace for you. Yeah, unless they put it in floppy mode.
It
But,
was, I
usually they
saw
shouldn't.
floppy one.
You don't want to start saying floppy feet now.
I saw floppy one.
Saw
What was-
floppy one?
What was the last bullet?
In a cast, that's a really bad cast job.
Entire.
It should be flexed for proper healing.
It was still wet and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
All right, so what's our evaluation criteria, guys? Of course, what's the start of our show? The entire ankle mortise joint, thus the name, the AP oblique mortise joint medial rotation. We're gonna see that entire mortise joint opened up, also our distal tib, fib, and talus. That proper 15 to 20 degree rotation will show the talofibular articulation open, tibio-talar articulation also open.
That's
Am I going
nice.
too fast?
Yeah.
Coffee's kicking in.
All right, busted.
So these are ways of saying though that entire mortise, guys. Talofibular articulation, tibio-talar articulation. You can see them all in that picture right there. Talofibular, the space between the talus and the fibula. Tibio-talar, space between the tibia and the talus. Making sense? Am I still talking too fast?
Did you like say that 3 times fast? Are you gonna use those words?
Maybe.
I was just thinking that. I'm writing down this
See,
one.
you're thinking smart, because yes. Yes, anytime there's interchangeable words, guys, you expect to see those on the test, on the questions, because you gotta know all the names. Just know what they stand for.
But as long as you know what that anatomy is, then you should know where it is.
Yeah, when it comes to joints, guys, what do I always say? Most of the time, the word is what? The 2 parts coming together, right? What's talofibular mean? Talus, fibula. What's tibio-talar mean? Tibia, talus. What's talocalcaneal mean? Talus calcaneus.
Can you point out that third bullet, like the no overlap?
No overlap of the anterior tubercle of the tibia and the superlateral portion of the talus with the fibula. That's a very niche point, but basically it's saying this portion right here, guys. You just want a little bit of separation right here. There's a tubercle right here on the tibia that you can't actually see on an x-ray, but if you didn't have the proper rotation, like it was more AP, you would have that overlapping right there. So the whole area is nice and open, which is what we want to see. Yeah.
On that 4th note, you mentioned earlier 10 to 15 degrees, with 15 being more proper.
15 to 20. 15 to 20.
Okay.
15 is going to be your optimal rotation, though. Good grief. I barely started talking. Oh, yes, Emily?
So would there be any instances where you'd have to use the 20 degrees? Like when would you use 20?
You really wouldn't. It just gives you a range. It's just personal preference. At least in my history, I've never seen an instance where 20 was better than 15. 15 always seems to work perfectly.
How do you know exactly how many tests you do?
Yeah. It's one of those things you learn to eyeball.
Okay.
Just like before you learn. Yeah, unfortunately.
Quick question I have. So you know how you say 15 to 20? But my tech told me, because I was like trying to still, we hadn't gone over this, so I was like, what's the like,
You'll never do
there's a certain range, she was like, but eventually you'll know your range. She was like, I don't go by that. So is that true? Eventually you'll know your range, or no? Or you wanna stick to that 15?
You know what that was? That was the tech not knowing the actual range and trying to play it off. Sounds smart.
Okay.
That's a,
What was that at?
that's an unsure person.
Strawberry.
Good time?
Indeed, there is a range, you just couldn't do it.
Oh, yeah.
That's like baseball.
You tried it.
Because, I mean, yeah, I've been, that's why I'm like, yeah, I feel what she comes from. 'cause I've been-
All right, guys, let's take a break, 15-minute break. It's
I
9
feel it.
o'clock.
Has he seen?
Come back at 9:15.